Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ready, Set, Rise Summit. I am so excited to see you here. In today's Zoom-filled world, I know that everyone is incredibly busy, so thank you for making the time to join us today. For those of you who are already Rise members, it's so great to see you and thank you for your support throughout the years. For those of you that are new, welcome. We hope you'll get a taste of our community today, and we look forward to inviting you to be a part of our network. We started Rise with a single mission in mind to empower individuals so we can go further, faster, and succeed on our own terms. So much has changed from the past year due to COVID. Remote work is now the norm more than ever. We're feeling empowered to chart our own path as rising professionals, entrepreneurs, side hustlers, artists, coaches, advisors, and so much more. Like many of you, COVID has forced us to look within and to reevaluate what is truly important in our personal and professional lives. We asked ourselves a question of, what does Rise want to be when we grow up? And from that, we've had hundreds of conversations over the last year and asked what you wanted to see from Rise and how Rise can be a better support for your journey, both personally and professionally. And I am incredibly excited to announce the launch of the new Rise 2.0 platform, the first professional network where you get to call your own shots. Rise is a place where you can showcase yourself authentically, unapologetically, and connect with others via common interests, not just your job title or when you went to school. And most importantly, where companies get to scout you and to surface jobs and collaboration opportunities because of who you are. If you haven't had a chance, I invite you to check out the new experience at joinrise.co. All right, so we have an incredible day ahead with panels, fireside chats, wellness experiences, and a networking session starting at 3:45 p.m. Eastern Time or 12:45 p.m. Pacific Time, where you can connect and mingle with other professionals, some of our panelists, and representatives from companies who are currently hiring today. I'm so excited to hear from a wealth of experts as well as just to get inspired. And kicking off the day today will be Rooshy from Aavrani, who is going to take us through an amazing intention setting session to start off our day right. Thank you again, and see you on Rise.
Hi, everyone. Am I on? I guess I'm on now. Hi, everyone. My name is Rooshy Roy. I am the co-founder and CEO of Aavrani, the Indian-inspired beauty brand that unites ancient Indian rituals and ingredients with modern science. I started Aavrani really out of a need. I had grown up creating my own personal care treatments with my mom in Michigan, with my grandmothers in Kolkata, using natural ingredients from the kitchens. So like turmeric, rosewater, neem. And that was just the approach to beauty, to find ingredients to address very specific concerns that we're facing, not just with skincare, but hair care, body care, and the like. The real difference between pursuing beauty in India versus pursuing beauty in the West, at least from my experience, has been in the approach to beauty. And that's what I want to talk about with you today, because so much of beauty is touted as something that we have to capture or hold on to because we lack it in ourselves. And the industry really perpetuates that notion that we need more things and we're lacking in something in order to feel fulfilled and beautiful. And in my journey through creating Aavrani over the last now over 4 years, I kind of realized the flaws in the beauty industry, but also the flaws in our own perceptions as customers around what beauty really means. So I'm here today to share some of the insights and learnings I've had, and hopefully inspire you to think about beauty in a different way as well. So a little bit of background on me. I was born and raised in the Detroit area in Michigan. My parents are immigrants from Kolkata in India. And so I grew up kind of feeling like I had one foot in each culture. And because of that sort of dichotomy, I never quite felt fulfilled or beautiful. I was always either too Indian or too American in any given situation. And that sort of chipped away at my self-esteem and my own interpretation of myself. And so as I started working on Aavrani, I kind of realized that yes, self-care is important, but where does that self-care really come from? How do we initiate self-care on a more frequent basis so that we can be nurturing ourselves and our psyches and unlearning a lot of the damage that the beauty industry has done to us. So as a first exercise, I'll do a couple of these throughout, and so we can revisit it at the end. But as a first exercise, I would urge you to take a moment and write down to yourself the rest of the sentence of "I am extraordinary because," and write the first thing that comes to your mind. And it's not being sarcastic. It's not being like I'm always late or being self-deprecating. This is a moment to really honor yourself and write down why you think you are extraordinary. And that goes into where I'm trying to lead to, which is our own sort of affirmations and self-awareness around our strengths and weaknesses is what breeds a sense of self-esteem and ultimately the self-care to feel beautiful and look beautiful eternally, regardless of the products that we're using. And so hopefully you have written out the rest of that sentence. Understandably, for me, the first time I did that, it was a little bit awkward because we're not used to celebrating ourselves, especially from my experience as a woman and from my female friends. It's especially difficult to acknowledge our strengths openly because it can seem like it's being boastful or braggadocious, but these are the pillars of what builds that ultimate feeling of beauty. And so one learning I would like to share with you as we think about how we reconfigure our own interpretations of ourselves, how we build that sense of self-esteem to breed the sense of self-care and beauty. I want to hone in on the idea of small changes. I think a lot of the times, and again, from my own experience, we have these lofty goals in front of us. For example, I want to start exercising. This was a personal goal for me earlier this year. I want to make exercise a part of my regular ritual, at least weekly, doing it a couple of times. And it's starting from nothing. So I thought, okay, in the first couple of weeks, once I do it and I feel strong, and then the second week, if I skip it, I go back into that psyche of, okay, well, I can't accomplish this. I'm going to give up on that goal, and it becomes a vicious cycle. The brain sort of reconfirms that you're not meant to elevate yourself. You're not the type of person that can actually exercise regularly. So then we get caught in that sort of vicious cycle. But if we break it down into small changes, and this applies to every aspect of our lifestyles, every choice that we make, if we break it down into just incrementally improving where we are right now in this moment and not thinking about the goal in such a lofty way, we can actually make that goal a lot more attainable and be a lot nicer to ourselves in that process of achieving that goal. So for example, one prompt I like to write to myself in the mornings as I set my intention for the day is, if I bring 5% more awareness to my day, I would. And I would like you to take a moment to fill in that sentence for yourself. And if it helps, write down the complete sentence, not just the rest of it. If I am 5% more aware today, what would that do? What would that bring? If I bring 5% more awareness to my day, I would. Then not only is the goal so much more attainable, it's also so much less pressure on ourselves. Because if we don't end up bringing that 5% to our days, we're not so cruel to ourselves. It's just 5%. We can do that another time. It's not as big of a disappointment. And so starting the days with that kind of little bit of improvement, little bit of intention setting incrementally day to day will ultimately lead to a lot more of the achievement that we're looking for and that we know is within us. It will help us achieve that. So I hope that that ends up helping you in that vein as well. Sorry, I had a tech issue there. So I hope that that helps you there. Let me break down for a moment this idea of the linking the self-awareness back to beauty. And I'm saying this truthfully, even as a beauty brand founder that, of course, needs to make sales and needs to sell product. Ultimately, that is not what's going to make you feel beautiful. It's that self-work, that inner work that we do. Products and topical applications will take us that last 5-10%, unleash what we already have in the most beautiful way to our fullest potential. But unless we do that inner work of self-esteem first, we're not going to be able to position ourselves to take advantage of all the amazing products that are out there. So for a moment, let me tell you how I link that awareness to the beauty. So if we start with a little bit of intentional awareness every day, incrementally, as I had mentioned, then that will breed a sense of self-acceptance. And the way that that happens is because we are a lot more willing to acknowledge when we have or we have not accomplished that 5% improvement. So as I mentioned, we are a lot easier on ourselves if we don't meet a 5% goal versus a very lofty goal, right? It doesn't feel as much of a disappointment. We're a lot more honest with ourselves when we don't meet a gradual goal. And by being honest with ourselves, we come to a level of self-acceptance that we otherwise would not have achieved, because we wouldn't have confronted that part of ourselves without that work of intention setting, right? And so once we come to a point where we're like, okay, we either did improve or we didn't improve, whatever it is, that objective awareness around the situation leads us to self-acceptance. Now, how do we get from self-acceptance now to beauty? Self-acceptance breeds a sense of self-esteem, because once we accept ourselves for who we are, both the good and the bad, because we wouldn't be able to access the good parts of us if it weren't for what we deem the bad parts of us, right? Everything is in balance. Once we can accept and acknowledge the stuff that we're not so good at, the stuff that aren't our strengths, then it enables us to lean into the strengths even more. We're more aware of what the strengths are, what our capacity for greatness could be, in what direction that yields. And that is what breeds a sense of self-esteem. We get empowered by understanding where our strengths lie and diving right into it. We don't set ourselves up to be as exposed to our weaknesses and to the parts of us that we don't love, because we've acknowledged it and we've put it aside. So now we got to self-esteem. How do we get from self-esteem to beauty? Well, self-esteem is what breeds self-care. Once you love yourself and you know yourself fully, you feel fully worthy of not just existing, but thriving and being the best version of yourself, you're going to want to take care of yourself. You're going to want to nurture that self. You're going to be kinder to yourself. And that self-care is what leads to beauty. Self-care in a holistic sense, not just a self-care of taking a bubble bath and, putting a face mask on. Self-care is taking the time to exercise. Self-care is making the choice to eat healthier versus unhealthier. Self-care is the way we speak to ourselves. If we made a mistake, Are we hard on ourselves and mean to ourselves, or do we behave in a more resilient, accepting fashion? So I hope that got us through the string of how self-awareness breeds that beauty. It's self-awareness to self-acceptance, to self-esteem, to self-care. And that is ultimately what makes us look and feel beautiful at the end of the day. I will leave you with the note that the definition of beauty, the meaning of beauty, is still entirely up to you. And so this whole idea of trying to attain something or look like someone else, that is totally a result of what the industry wants you to think. That's how they're able to sell product. But if we can reclaim our own interpretation of beauty and knowing that this is the body, this is the mind, this is the soul I've been given, how do I achieve the highest, truest, most beautiful interpretation of that? You are no longer comparing yourself to others and trying to aspire to be someone you're not. You are just fulfilling the most beautiful self that lives within you already. I hope that was helpful. And I hope that if the awareness exercise, if the extraordinary affirmation exercise was helpful, I encourage you to do that every single day. I start my day with 3 affirmations. It starts with I love my, I am amazing at, and I am extraordinary because. You'll be surprised how much that can influence your day when you focus on the amazing parts of yourself and kick off your day with that kind of attitude. It's transformative. I hope that was helpful. Thank you, everybody.